Hey, and welcome to tonight's episode of Blockchain Speaks. I know it's been a couple of weeks. Like I told you before, sometimes I get it done, sometimes I don't. This time, I got something special for you. Did you know, do you even care that your federal government might be creating their own digital currency? Yep, you heard it right there. Why not? Now, last November, December, maybe last December time frame, I think I did it around December 30th, I talked about why digital currency is the future of money. And when I talked about that, I talked about how there are over six country or regional central banks out there that are basically creating digital currency for are having these discussions about the CBDC, the central bank digital currencies for their countries or those regions that they're responsible for. So it's not a surprise that countries are, creating digital currency. And then we hear about, China, where they continue to ban Bitcoin over and over and over. Places like Nigeria, same thing. They put out legislation to ban digital currency or cryptocurrency or just Bitcoin in general, or specifically. So they continue to say it's banned, but the country continues to use that cryptocurrency. So here we are in the US, which is not necessarily banned. They just can't figure out how to tax it in a way that they don't, strangle the person using it, the citizens. But then at the same time, they don't want you to just kind of free will it and work outside of, government lines of sorts. But this is an amazing kind of research that this gentleman, Andrei Jikh, that he's going to talk about tonight, because I'm going to give you a surprise. I'm not going to be talking all night. I'm introducing the person that's going to be talking. And since, it was part of the research, and when I came across this information, I was like, wow, you know what? Instead of me trying to take that information and actually kind of bring it back out to you in my show, might as well just let you see it for yourself and say, wow. It's because that's what I said, right? So this is great information. Hey, let me just go ahead and get to it. So tonight we're going to talk about on blockchainspeaks.org, we're going to talk about the federal government, yes, in the US, and their secret project called the fedcoin. Let's get to it.
Whoa, this is crazy. The US government is creating their own cryptocurrency called the digital dollar, and word on the street is that the unofficial name for this is fedcoin. Because you know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. So this is a collaborative project between the MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and our own US government. And this is one of the most ambitious crossovers in history because it's something that we've talked about for a very long time, but it seems like we're finally thinking about actually doing this. So this is still a very top secret project that we're gonna know more about in Q3 or as early as July of this year. But in the meantime, I wanted to make this video to talk about what's actually going to happen to the future of crypto once it is here. Is Bitcoin gonna go up? Is it gonna go down? Is it gonna compete? Is it gonna be replaced? Is this the end of Bitcoin? Are you gonna subscribe to my channel? There's a lot of questions to get through, so hopefully by the end of this video we'll learn a lot more, because the more we know, the more fun coupons we can print. Because here's the thing, Bitcoin has seen incredible success this year where it's reached over $1 trillion in market cap size. And even though it didn't actually stay there for very long, it's pretty incredible when you consider the fact that it started out as completely worthless code on someone else's computer, and now it's $1 trillion asset. It's something that many people across the world own. It's something that over 50% of millionaire millennials invest in, and it's one of the most searched topics on the internet. So let's talk about this fedcoin because it's got some really interesting and magical properties to it. And one of those properties is the security that our money has. For example, every $100 bill has that blue security strip. But the thing about money is that no matter how secure you try to design it, there's always going to be a flaw in how it was designed, which is why you can see right through it. So let's put it back so that we don't commit fraud. And that should do it right there. Sometimes magic needs low light. Don't judge. Hi, my name is Andrei Jikh. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the blue eyes white Fed coin. So why does the government want to create their own cryptocurrency? To understand the answer to that question, we have to remember that society decided to outsource this concept of money to the central banks, the leaders, and the governments of the world, where we told them that they could have control over money, and in exchange, we would get convenience and a little bit of safety. Now, Benjamin Franklin once said that those who give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. And that quote became very popular when Edward Snowden exposed the government and the NSA's surveillance programs. In exchange for that safety and convenience, we gave up this concept of free money. Now, when I say free money, I don't mean like Salt Bae out of a helicopter with stimulus checks. I mean free money because we've never existed in a time where our money has had the chance to compete against other ideas of money in the free and open market, which is strange because that's how we function as a capitalistic society. That's how we create products that make our lives better every single day, because ideas compete, but money has never done that. And even though we've seen different iterations of money, from precious stones to metals like gold and silver, to then eventually paper money, which then was eventually digitized and converted into credit cards and plastic. But the idea of money as a concept has been controlled and centralized in the hands of the few. And that brings me to my main point. So FedCoin is also called federal coin or government coin, which is sometimes referred to as CBDC. Not CBD, side effects may include freedom. CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. But wait a minute, Andre, why are they trying to digitize the dollar? Isn't the dollar already digital? The dollar is technically not digital. Even though it exists on our computer screens, and even though, yes, right here I can technically withdraw it and send it to you, the reality is I'm not technically sending you money. Instead, what we transfer are digital rights or digital claims, which are then denominated in dollars. And this is really fascinating because banks that have roughly $124.2 million in assets are by law required to have at least 10% of the reserves on hand, and the rest they can theoretically digitally print, and that's the fractional reserve banking system. And the reason that it works this way is because our system is so complicated. A really good example is with investing in stonks. Remember the GameStop and Citadel scandal when Robinhood froze trading of GameStop?
Don't remind me, how could I forget, Andre?
This happens because of something called T+2. And this happens anytime we use apps like Robinhood to place trades with, because anytime we buy stocks, for us it's a very different experience. We place an order gets filled, we have the stonk. But behind the scenes what happens is we have to go through 3 separate phases. Phase 1 is the execution phase, which is where buyers and sellers get into an agreement. And then we go through phase 2, which is clearing, which is where this transaction gets recorded and the money is made accountable. And then we go through phase 3, which is the actual settlement phase, which is where the money gets exchanged for stocks. And this process can take up to 2 days, which is why Robinhood had to front all that money, allegedly. But that's how complicated trading actually is. The credit system is even more complicated. First, my bank has to verify everything about me and my information, which then gets sent to your bank, where your bank verifies everything about you and your info, and then that info gets sent back to my bank, and that's when the transfer initiates. When it comes to credit card networks, it's equally complicated, and transactions can take several days to get posted to our accounts. But the point is that it's a very complicated, slow, and expensive system to use, and there's counterparty risk, which is why we use these middleman companies, which is also why they get paid a small portion of everything we trade and transfer. But we're not actually exchanging money, we're exchanging claims to money. So no, the dollar is not fully digital just yet. So along comes FedCoin, and here's how it's gonna change everything. The government has plans to plant a small RFID chip inside of us. It's unobtrusive, but that's how we'll pay for things in the future, united under a single world reserve currency. So it'll be like, sorry, sir, you have insufficient funds. You've been canceled by the government. I'm just kidding. I bet I freaked some people out though, like, I knew it. Finance videos are sometimes boring, and I just wanted to wake you up. The hope is that FedCoin could become instantaneous without the need of these middlemen like banks and payment processors. So when news of this came out, banks told Congress, we don't need this technology. Our dollars are already digital. This is a bad idea. Which translates to, please don't threaten our profits and cut us out of the system. And that's because if the government removes the middleman, then banks get to make a lot less money. But the truth is, banks are not going away. They're still going to play a major role in this new economy. So then the question becomes, why does the government need to do this? Why do they want to create their own cryptocurrency? They already have their own currency. I mean, sure, this new one could be faster and cheaper to use and doesn't need any middlemen, but what's in it for the government? The answer is not clear because even the government is divided on this. For example, Chairman of the Federal Reserve, Papa Powell, is actually saying that he would create fedcoin as long as Congress votes for it. Then we have Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who says that fedcoin is good for everyone because it gives them access to the banking system who otherwise are not a part of the system. And then on the opposite side, we have Chairman of the Senate Banking Committee, Sherrod Brown, who represents interests of the big banks, who says that the government is going to jeopardize the stability of the economy by creating a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. So even people within the government are divided because there are pros and cons to fedcoin, and here's what they are, just so you know. First, fedcoin will not replace Bitcoin, and no, it's not going to make it easier for the government to ban Bitcoin and crypto. Both Bitcoin and crypto and the fedcoin and the digital dollar will coexist together. I believe that human being and fish can coexist peacefully. Smash the like button if you got the reference. But the good news is that the government is going to become much more efficient at collecting taxes. The bad news is that the government is going to become much more efficient at collecting taxes. And I think we can all agree that if the government can simplify paying taxes, that would make it easier for everyone. But the real benefit of the digital dollar is that it's going to allow Bitcoin and crypto financial and equity market integration in a way that wasn't possible before, because it's going to allow people to do what's called on and off ramp from Bitcoin to other currencies really quickly and really cheaply. This is with something called atomic swaps, which again allows people to convert Bitcoin to digital dollars and vice versa instantaneously without having to deal with counterparty risk. And here's what all of that means. This means more velocity of capital, which is a fancy way of saying more speed with which you and I exchange our money. Because the more speed a system has, the more stable it becomes. And the more stable the price of crypto is, the more usable it becomes as a real world currency. So in the end, it actually helps Bitcoin and crypto out a lot. The other upside is that hopefully we won't have to wait several days to withdraw our crypto from brokerages and exchanges. But there are some real downsides too. To circle back to the original Benjamin Franklin quote, which is, to get this convenience, we have to give up a lot of the privacy and liberty, which means less privacy in our everyday lives whenever we spend our money. And now everything's gonna become even more traceable. And I know you could argue and say, Andre, everything is already traceable. But the truth is, we still have a choice. We still have cash, which is very hard to trace. But with this digital dollar or fedcoin, it's gonna become much easier for the government to phase out cash, which is something they've been trying to do for a very long time. Another downside is that we're gonna be connected to the government's network 24/7, which means everything's gonna become traceable. Hold on. Hello? We're calling about extending your warranty about paying your taxes. No, thank you. It's annoying. But yeah, it means we're gonna be connected 24/7 and they're gonna be tracing us all the time, which means it could be potentially another system of control and we're just living in the matrix. Regardless of what it is, here are my personal overall thoughts about it. Again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying this is fact, but 2008 was the first time in human history when we were given a technology that allows us to challenge the idea that money could only belong to the government. And that's why in 2019, Facebook became the first company to create its own currency. They were like, slow down, Papa Powell, save some for the fishes. They were like, we could print money? And they did. They called it Libra coin, which stands for freedom. And when people heard of Libra, they were like, Facebook coin, I would never use that. That sounds like a scam. But I thought it was awesome because if Facebook or some other company could challenge the government's control of money, if we could open that door, that opens the door for other companies to create their own as well. And that way we can use a coin or a money that's not issued to us by decree, which is what fiat is. And instead we can use a money that was born out of competition on the free and open market, which is what capitalism is all about. That way, if we don't like Libra coin, we can use Apple coin. But let's face it, Apple coin probably has the Apple logo on it to be way too expensive, so we'll use Tesla coin. But you get the idea. This concept scares governments because they know that by losing this power over money, it also means they lose the influence over the power to change the course of history. And it's my belief, and maybe I'm wrong, that the government does not want to allow this to happen. They do not want to democratize this concept of money and let it compete on the free market. That's why they're creating their own cryptocurrency, like for example, the sand dollar in the Bahamas. And ironically, it's the countries with the least amount of freedoms in them that are the first to ban the idea of free money. Which is also why, if you've been watching what happened this week, China banned Bitcoin for like the 17th time, which overall is incredibly good news for us, not for China, but for the rest of the world, because that opens up opportunities for other countries, and for the people that say that Bitcoin is controlled by China, that is no longer true. Overall, no matter what happens, just don't get scared and remember that this is all good news, and we'll learn more in Q3 or July of this year. Fun fact, Satoshi Nakamoto means Central Intelligence in Japanese. That's why some people think that fedcoin is already here and that it was Bitcoin all along, created by the governments to keep track of people united under a single world reserve currency. I knew it! It's totally not, but it's a fun tidbit you can tell all your friends. In the meantime, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and go get up to $250 worth of free Bitcoin using this BlockFi link right here, blockfi.com/Andrei. Go get 2 free stocks with Webull. When you deposit $100 using that link down below, you'll get 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. And once you do, go track them automatically with the spreadsheet link down below in my Patreon. Love you. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you back here on Monday and Friday, sometimes a Wednesday, and I'd love to know your thoughts about fedcoin and what's gonna happen. In the meantime, I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed that episode. Please check out Andrei Jikh for more